increase the amount that you allocate for bursaries. So that, 3,000 definitely is not, and I have a completely different view when it comes to bursaries. I think all county governments should really be investing a lot in education. That's where we differ with my colleague, and it's on principle, because I think if we improve on education, we better the chances. So I think the best thing to do, because my 30 seconds are over, is to increase the amount to avoid this double allocation. So that very well across board, if it is 15,000 shillings, it is 15,000 across board. And that will help these kids get education. What will 3,000 pay for? It will not even pay for school uniform, even a shirt. Even transport, it will not pay. So I think you need to cut across, talk to your MCAs. I'd rather you put more money in education than some projects which will never be completed. Some just building which will never be completed. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
We have since, which is a concern, as the senators are saying, we have since been able to make sure that that's not an issue. And the way we have done it is we now have a software that is where the committee that's handling the bursaries is able to check and find out if there are multiple applications. Now, a lot of it was not necessarily fraud in the sense of a kickback, like perhaps the senator was thinking. A lot of what it is maybe a child has been given 3,000 shillings for bursary in Ward A. So they then go to Ward B and apply for bursary before we were able to catch it. So that now instead of having 3,000, they end up perhaps with 6,000 towards maybe their 20,000 school fees. So that was the issue, but what we have done now, we have a software that verifies, and what we have done is also put in place rules that if you have multiple applications, you're disqualified. So it was not so much about the newer committee rules that we passed, but more just to catch that in different, there was no way to connect between the applications in Ward A and Ward B. Now, back to, just let me respond a bit to Senator that I really respect, Senator Eddie. Senator Eddie, if you walk with me to Mashinani in Nakuru County, when I go to give the bursaries, and you tell me that perhaps, which I agree, perhaps it should be a national function. But if you tell me that counties, we should not be giving bursaries, I will wonder what I'm doing as a governor. And the reason being, you go into those villages and you have all these children who have not been able to report to school. All of them. I mean, a ton that it's actually overwhelming. When I came into office, the bursary was about 110, it was 155 wards, it was about 2 million per ward. But in my wisdom and that of the MCAs, and also by public participation, we thought it would really be important to increase our bursary allocations and leave no child behind in the county of Nakuru when it comes to education. It's actually really dire. I wish the national government would be able to handle it, so I wouldn't have to put my money into that. But if I stopped today, I am telling you, I will have thousands upon thousands. I think this time we gave how many? 60, almost 62,000 children we were able to give bursaries in the county. So it's a big number, but the need is overwhelming. But I would actually one day wish you can come with me and go see what it looks like out there. It's dire.
Chair, just 30 seconds.
I agree with the audit findings. However, the difference between transfers from the county government amounting to 2,563,143 resulted from 559,143, which reached the bursary fund account on the 21st of July 2021 due to delays of exchequer releases. And if you look at the Appendix 1, these are attached notes to the financial statement, note 2, and bank statement extracts. Number 2, 4,000 shillings from reversal of a check from a beneficiary of Uhuru High School. That's see Appendix 2 attached here. That's the bank statement extract. 3, 2 million shillings was inter-entity borrowing for funds to support scholarship for students joining Form 1 as the fund had not received exchequer releases. So that you see Appendix 3 here attached, internal memo and bank statements extract. And I'll quickly also address the 2021. On chair, we agree with the audit finding, however, and that's on page 48, sorry, of our responses. On chair, we agree with the audit finding, however, the difference of 559,143 was received in the bank on the 21st of July 2021, while the financial statement is prepared as of 30th June 2021. The bank statement therefore could not reflect the figure. It was a reconciling item in the bank statement. See Appendix 3, the RTGS of 559,143. Appendix 1, Statement of Financial Performance, and Appendix 6, the bank statement extract.
Very well. Auditor, maybe before you respond, can I...
For funds in CBK. So this is an issue that, and I'm glad that Senator Eddy raised it. So it now behooves us to be able to look at the two, Regulation 82 of the CBK, and I think the PFM Act Section 119. If you read Section 119 of the PFM Act, it says clearly that as soon as practical, each county treasurer shall establish a treasury single account at the Central Bank of Kenya or a bank approved by the county treasurer through which payment of money to and by various county government entities are to be made. Then if you read Regulation 82,
put your finger on the camera.
Put your finger in the camera.
Members, let us have one meeting.
So you say, subject to provision of Section 28 of the Act, the following criteria shall be considered by the National Treasury before granting approval to a national government entity to open and operate a national government bank account. So the question here is, does a county government becomes a national bank, a national government entity? So that contradiction is what is bringing problems. So I think we will go with the PFM Act because the PFM Act is quite clear. So in this case, the account opened by Nakuru County is within the law. You know, it doesn't contradict the law. What contradicts the law is the 82 and the PFM Act 119.
Yeah.
So let's proceed. I don't think there's a problem there, Chair.
Yeah.
If a county operates with cash, even us here in Parliament, we are paid in cash when they withdraw the money. The issue is accounting. If they account for it properly, then we're okay with it. If they don't account with it, then that's the problem. Because I was trying to find the definition of these ward committee members. Are they known? Because what you had said that some money may remain and it disappears. The question is, are these ward committee members known? Or is it a number that fluctuates? That's the distinction. So yeah. I vote that we proceed with this.
But again, in that case, there is a list that they sign against.
Yeah.
So if unless someone else signs for you, then that becomes an issue. So honorable members, I think this is very straightforward. The auditor said they have made an improvement. So let's move. This audit is resolved. Let's go to the 2022 report, where there are quite a number of issues we are going to look at. And we start with the inaccuracies in transfer from the county government. And as you do this, you make a comment about the year 2021, where we had the same question. Proceed, Auditor.
Thank you, Chair. We are dealing with the report of the Auditor General.
The auditor completed the work March 10th, 2023. And what the auditor found is that the financial position of the company, or rather in the fund, did not reflect fairly the position. That's why they gave an adverse opinion. I mean, the question to you is, how can you ensure that this doesn't repeat? Because I'm concerned with the auditor comment that these are transactions which are taking place after the close of the financial year. How do we stop this Because now this has happened in March of 2023. Even though I think the auditors delayed in carrying out the audit and concluded it in 2023. How do we stop this from happening? Because if these transactions happened after, how long after? Was it within the 2 weeks or within completely after? And maybe auditor, you can respond to this as well because you've had a chance to look at the financial statement. So there are two questions there. One is from the auditor, the other one is for the governor. Because we note that getting an adverse opinion means that the documents are not good. They don't present fairly the position of the fund financially. How do we resolve these issues? That's how I wanted to understand from the two of you.
Governor, please.
You stated it's a concern because, as we can see, it's probably been running year in, year out. But what we have done, okay, sorry, first, let me begin with the first question. So this was within the 2 weeks where there was a delay in the release of funds, and it so happened that it was at the end of the financial year. But we were also, like the Auditor General has said, we are also given a bit of leeway past the 30th of June now to be able to handle these sorts of issues. However, as a county, what we are doing in regards to Senator Olekina's question on this keeping on happening is we are reorganizing ourselves and making sure that within these different funds, because obviously we can see there was a problem with accounting, we are making sure that we have very competent fund accountants who will be able to make sure that things are done properly so that we don't keep running into these issues.
Okay, I think I don't want us to spend time on this. Senator Amida, proceed.
No, actually, that's what I wanted to ask Excellency. I hope you have qualified accountants because
actually, like I said, we have reorganized ourselves within the county and we have made sure that those who are very competent are the ones that are now the fund accountants, and they're actually in the room now. Previously, there were different ones who are probably not very competent, which is an issue, and it's quite obvious. So yes, we have reorganized ourselves to make sure that this does not happen again.
Yeah, Auditor, your final comments?
As we speak, most of our bursary funds have already been released, so we shall not be running out of time. But the other issue, as we work on that as counties, is probably the issue of late exchequer releases. That also quite has a negative effect on this. But like you said, we are trying to do it a lot earlier in the year so that we don't run into this.
Okay. Very well. So, the Secretariat, please capture that, and then we'll keep our watch on it.
155,456,370 is not for depreciation and amortizations, but scholarship and other educational benefits. Chair, we take responsibility as a county in that here we just used the standard template and did not customize as we should have. So we apologize for that in the statement of financial performance, but we have since corrected the same and customized it in the subsequent financial statements. And you can see Appendix 6 that is attached, Statement of Financial Performance. So, Honorable Chair, we agree with the auditor that at the time of the audit, we had no approved criteria and conditions for awarding bursaries. However, since I've been in office, we have developed the Nakuru County Bursary Guidelines, which were tabled and approved by the County Executive Committee, held on 12 September 2023, and a copy of which is hereby attached. See Appendix 7, here attached, Nakuru County Bursary Guidelines and Committee Minutes. Honorable Chair, the anomaly in awarding multiple bursaries occurred because we had no approved guidelines, as stated, in place at that time. We now have the approved guidelines, which has taken care of the issue that has been raised by the auditor. We are currently following the guidelines to the letter.
Auditor, your comments, particularly on the second part of the query, the issue of guidelines.
The guidelines have been covered, Chair. We would like to look at the implementation the subsequent audits, because they have just been developed.
Okay. Members, any comment? Proceed.
Yes, Chair. I mean, so at least the county have known that they need to customize so that they don't just take the generic one. Secondly, Chair, is it's also good to confirm from the governor the multiple bursaries. Did they really go to the students, or it was a conduit that people were sending money in the name of paying Kisang 3 bursaries, and maybe the money did not go to the institution, or it went and it was returned to some committee members? Could it have been fraud?
Chair.
Yes, Odekina.
Mine goes to both the county government and the auditors. I think during the initial meeting, where you are defining the scope of the audit, if certain anomalies are noted, I would have expected that the auditors would have indicated there that we noted that in the financial statements, the county government did not customize to fit the line items of their budget, but instead used, the regular standards, because it was a very basic thing where they could have just whited out the depreciation and amortization expenses, and they just wrote bursary expenses. So you note a capacity challenge, because that also helps in terms of guiding these county governments. And then on the part of the county, I think it's imperative that you try to build the capacity to be the accountants. Do they have an ISPAC number? Are they members of ISPAC? Or they are just people who are given jobs to do because they are related to the who's who? So I think maybe, Governor, you may need to go through all that and make sure that whoever is dealing with the issue of accounting is fully qualified. There are serious consequences. If you look at Section 62 of the PFM Act, or is it the Public Audit Act? I think PFM. Public Audit. It's got serious consequences when it comes to the requirements of an accounting officer. So that's a challenge. So I think maybe as part of the recommendation, you need to, Mr. Chairman, to advise the county to boost their capacity of their accounting staff. And then also pay attention during the audit process so that you're in line with them. Because when you read something to do with bursaries and you're talking about amortization expenses, you think, did the county borrow money and gave out bursaries as loans? So it just becomes a bit confusing. But I can see the auditor wants to say something.
Mark?
For the purpose of budget performance. Actually, this quiz helps you with futuristic budget performance. And if you've got, these variances recurring and unsupported recurring, then when you are developing your future budget, it becomes problematic and endemic. So I'll give you an example. I try to keep in tune with the COB report. And the first half of 2023-2024, your county had allocated about 735 million to all these established funds. This is during your tenure. And if you look at that, in terms of budget performance, that is 3.2% increase from what had happened previous year. In bursary fund that we're looking at right now, you're actually allocated 443 million. Now, you can imagine if these variances are never solved, and number two, if what Mark has raised is never addressed. You see, 443 million is so huge a number that if those constant variances are never solved, then it becomes problematic in terms of budgetary performance. And on a side note, is something I've been fighting here with governors, as senators. This performance is even against the law in the sense that bursaries in its entirety is not your function. So you can imagine that you've got these recurring variance issues. You have allocated 443 million. Basically, you've taken that money and given it back to national government with these constant variances, coming. So then, in terms of budget performance, about 10% of your budget will have porosity and leakages. So I think that it's very important that when, auditor, when you're looking at these issues, you have the counties, and my approach, I want to take this approach. I don't want to take this approach as an approach of, we are trying to fault find. I think I want us to take an approach whereby the auditors can walk you through, making sure that you are dealing with the impact of those variances so that you are performing better. I would rather we come to these meetings when the books look so clean, but they're informing your future performance rather than fault finding so that we punish. I think that should not be the attitude. That's how we help the counties. Because otherwise, the seepage here is so big, and especially on something that I strongly believe that counties should not be running bursaries. Imagine if you were to channel this money to food security, for instance, in Nakuru County, or to channel it into ECDs in Nakuru County. I think everybody in the world would want to come to Nakuru County. The same way I'm seeing in Nakuru County, people coming for high school with choppers. You've got very good schools there. People coming to ECDs with choppers because it will be very good as a function. So think of it from the lens of budgetary performance, futuristic budgetary performance, including the immediate budget that they're just about to pass. Thank you, Chair.
Very well. As